Hello folks, it's Muji, back at it again with another long form video. Gotta say, I love doing this more than making shorts. Anyway, today the finale of the X-Men story is for Extinction. If you're just joining us for the finale, you can check out the earlier parts that I'll put in the video above. But anyway, the issue begins with Beast and Jean Grey already at Genosha, picking through the bones of the dead. Beast cracks a joke about dating but immediately sits down as the weight of the genocide kicks in. Jean communicates with Charles telepathically and Beast tells her to inform him that the gallow humor isn't exactly working. And Jean lets Hank know that they've caught a person responsible for the massacre anyway, so he doesn't need to worry. They reveal that they are still there because Cerebra is picking up a faint signal of a survivor. They eventually locate where the signal is coming from as Jean lifts the rubble underneath the remnants of the high school. From within, Emma Frost walks out in her diamond form, cradling the corpse of Negasonic Teenage Warhead. She demands to be taken to the hospital, but paramedics tell her that she's been dead for hours, and Emma falls to her knees as Jean approaches her and asks her how is she making her skin hard. Emma asks she doesn't exactly know what is going on. But anyway, back at the X-Mansion, Charles is listening on news broadcasts covering the genocide, but his mind is elsewhere. Wolverine and Cyclops walk in and inform him that Cassandra is in the gravity bubble Hank created to withstand the Juggernaut. Charles mentions that Magneto is dead and Cyclops concurs, informing Charles that they are mobilizing all their mutant operatives into emergency aid staff to help with the relief efforts. Cyclops then queries Wolverine if he had severed Cassandra's vocal cords, and Logan confirms he did so as she was using her voice to activate the Sentinels, but notes that she has a healing factor working overtime to heal her throat, and they really need to question her quickly. Charles rolls over to the bubble and looks at the creature who did this, simply asking, why? Over the med bay, Hank is examining Emma Frost and informs her that she has gotten a secondary mutation. Initially, she didn't understand Hank's techno-babble, but he explains that some mutants have secondary mutations, like Jean having access to her telekinesis again, his transformation into a feline form, or Wolverine having both bone claws and healing factor. Emma says that she is grateful to her mutation, but she's still haunted by the memories of her student dying before her very eyes. She recalls students being sliced into wafer-thin slices. A 10-year-old pianist prodigy searching for his arm in the rubble of a collapsing building, and she makes a solemn vow: Cassandra must die. And to be honest, I'm with her on this, and it's very, very morbid. Jean walks in and says that was Magneto's way, not the X-Men's way, and Magneto's way died with him on Genosha. Yeah, Jean is still being a goody two-shoes. Emma points out that this was inevitable, humankind wiping out mutant kind, before cutting the conversation short and says that she has called a cab and she's leaving anyway. Jean asks Emma what makes her such a bitch, and Emma Frost replies, breeding, darling. Top class, breedy. Back in the cells, Beast explains to Charles, Jean, and Logan that Cassandra looks human, but internally she should not exist. She's something beyond mutants, and she doesn't need to hunt humans or mutants, but something instinctive about her drives her to wipe out mutants. This biological need is due to the fact that humans are on the decline, and in 3 or 4 generations they will be replaced by either mutant or something like Cassandra Nova. Beast dubs the term the E gene, and the extinction gene is what drives the superior race to wipe out an inferior race. Logan kind of points out that she looks like Charles, and suddenly Hank starts to feel his brain melting. She was awake. Cassandra fires off a psychic attack, shattering the windows of the mansion, and Charles tells the X-Men to get into formation, but Cyclops tells her that fuck that noise as she mops the floor with them, attacking Cyclops psychically. She sends him to a place called the Black Bog Room, but Jean pulls him out just in time. However, Jean Grey, as usual, she faints, and Wolverine lunges at Cassandra on his arm into dust, creating a set of armor around herself as well. She takes out Wolverine and deactivates her armor as she walks outside. Outside, Emma Frost was leaving with her cab while her driver yaps about having a mutant teacher. She stops the cabbie and tells him that she needs to go back to the mansion. Back in the sub-basement, Wolverine jumps Cassandra again, pinning her to the wall. He tells her that he understands that she's messed up and that she wants to survive, but this is the wrong place and wrong time. Blood thought he actually cooked with that line. Cassandra fizzes through the wall and Charles exclaims she's trying to get to Cerebra. Walking over to her chair, her plan was to extinguish the life of every single mutant on the planet, and a home grows out of her head showing that she's a vegan. But Emma is not having any of that as she snaps Cassandra's neck, saying they are just things that one cannot be allowed to get away with, fulfilling her promise that she must kill Cassandra. Cyclops concurs, saying that it had to be done, and Emma, like a typical tsundere, says she didn't come back for Cyclops, but she came back for a Louis Vuitton bag. Wolverine rightly mentions that doesn't that bitch have regeneration, as Cassandra hobbles awake crying out to Charles, and Charles unloads the entire clip of the gun into her body. Charles proceeds to tell her that he has killed 16 million people and she would kill 16 million more. And Emma quips, "May our dry cleaners forgive you, Charles, and may God reward you for a medal of your uninhabited marksmanship." Charles says things must change, and to me, my X-Men, honestly, I loved Emma Frost this entire issue. This is like really dope stuff from her. Later that evening, Charles is on the news addressing the Genosha massacre, and Jean and Cyclops discuss their growing distance, and Cyclops finally opens up about why he had been so distant. It was due to his possession by Apocalypse, and Jean reassures him he's not the only one that has been possessed by evil spirits, yeah? And as they are about to continue, Charles Xavier reveals to the world that he's a mutant. And for those who might not know, prior to this, it was not public knowledge that Charles was a mutant, but this changed a lot of things. And this is where the storyline ends. There are massive repercussions from this arc that are far-reaching. X-Men 97 is one of the most recent stories to adapt this storyline, and some of you might be familiar with these story beats from what you have watched. Even later on, several stories take from this particular arc, such as Selene, the Black Queen, resurrecting the mutants of Genosha to be her army, or Kitty Pryde's father being one of the casualties of Genosha, or the Sentinel gaining sentience, as well as regretting its actions being committed, as it also reveals that it knew every single life it killed. Anyway, showing that both humans and mutants were killed. This was also the X-Men began to move from more over-the-top storylines and more grounded and introspective with its drama. This run is inspired by the X-Men 2001 X-Men movie, hence the shift from the colorful costumes to paramilitary gear. It also kind of points out the fact that Cassandra is not human, she is something more, and genuinely, it kind of low-key justifies the fears that some of the humans have over mutants, in that the superior race will always try to wipe out the inferior race, or the race that is perceived to be superior. Anyway, I enjoyed recording this. You guys should like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be doing more of this more often. I've been at work throughout this period, so that's why it took a while for this part to come out. Anyway, thank you, and